an injustice to the Arabs which now anyone can see, and is now entering its third, fourth generation. Fourth generation of Palestinians brought up either in exile or dispossession or under occupation and humiliation. And now we know that something has to be done to address what is part of the original, let's not call it original sin, original misconception of the thing. So I've been writing in favor of a Palestinian homeland all my life, and I'm no more, no less in favor of it than I was because of recent events.
And now the Bush administration is
in favor. It's a matter of principle.
And now the Bush administration is in favor of it.
Well, yes, they were edging towards it. It's a pity about the timing, because they were edging towards it before. I don't want it to look as if they did it as a concession. But it should be a matter of principle. If Jews born in Brooklyn have a right to a state in Palestine, then Palestinians born in Jerusalem have a right to a state in Palestine. Anyone who doesn't agree with that principle, I think, is suspect.
I think most people do.
They do, but but why in that case do we have the one and not the other? After all, it's America that pays for all this and arms the Israelis and is very much involved in it. If it's a matter of principle, then we should have witnessed to it a bit more forcibly than we did.
Right. Let me turn to this book, Letter to a Young Contrarian. You decided to write this because of what? And I'm interested, secondly, in how you see Christopher Hitchens today. I mean, has this role and life that you have chosen turned out the way you would have wanted it to do? Has it, in terms of choices you have made?
Well, on the first point, actually, the book wasn't, for once, it wasn't my idea. A very, very brilliant editor and publisher asked me if I would write in the series of emulations of Rainer Maria Rilke and his Letters to a Young Poet, which a lot of people read when they were young, and I had...
Letters to a Young Poet, was it?
Letters to a Young Poet. And there's to be a series, of which this is one of the first. And I thought I'd love to do it, and then I thought, actually, in a way, I already have begun it, because I teach downtown at the New School, I lecture a bit around the place, I have a column here and there. People have already asked me and written to me, students or readers, younger people, well, how do you make a living being in opposition, which is what I seem to do? Yeah. And is it a positive thing that you think you're doing, or is it just negative? Is it just being on the contrary? Right. Or does it have a positive? And so I said, okay, I have half written this. So it was a great pleasure to do it properly, or, well, what I think is properly. And to say, well, it's not for everybody. Not everyone wants to always be an awkward cuss, or out of step, or against the stream. But if you do feel that the consensus doesn't speak for you, if there's something about you that makes you feel that it would be worth being unpopular or marginal, for the chance to lead your own life and have a life instead of a career or a job, then I can promise you it is worthwhile. Yeah, it is. And
so you chose a life.
Yeah, I did. It may sound. I will realize it sounds perhaps a little pompous or a little self-regarding, but I did. From when I was very small, I knew first that I wanted to write. And not so much I wanted to, I had to. Didn't want to do, couldn't do anything else. And second, that this was partly to correct the impression that the majority was right, because I kept finding that I thought it was wrong.
And specifically government.
Government, my family, I mean, all kinds of things. The people I was at school with.
All authoritarian figures?
Kind of thing, yeah. It began in that kind of callow way, but as I've got older, I must say I've not become any more conservative in that respect. I mean, I'll give you a practical example, it might make you laugh. I mean, if you get older, people you were at school with suddenly turn up as government ministers. You know, in Washington, this happened to me. I think, oh, come on, it's like being Harry Potter. Yeah. You know, do you know who this guy? I remember this guy. Whereas I think for many people, it's reassuring.
I've seen him or her in a condition that would be embarrassing.
Yeah, and remember, I was at Oxford with Clinton and Strobe Talbot and Robert Reich, all these people. I could tell you about worse, but I think for some people it's reassuring. They think, hey, one of my gang is now Secretary of the Treasury. Fine, great. No, I don't. The way I can prove I haven't assimilated is that I find it alarming.
Well, but when you think of coming out of Oxford, or Harvard, or the University of Michigan, or University of California, or great universities, wherever they may be, you know, or great state universities, wherever they may be, there are going to be, by sheer fact that they attract talented people, people that will inevitably end up, even though you've seen the warts and all, inevitably end up in power.
Oh, yes, but it tends to be...
Either rich or powerful or even honored for their creative pursuits.
Could be, but I still notice how many of the dross seem to make it through because they're ambitious and cynical enough. But, I mean, I don't
But
know
ambition
what to
and
make,
ambition is cynical, and cynicism are not felonies yet.
But here's, I mean, another example. What I mean is, if you listen to the way people talk on chat shows when they call in, for example, or if you go to public debates at colleges, people who get up to speak, they'll tend almost, you'll notice it all the time if you start to look. They'll say, well, as Jennifer was just saying, and I agree with her, or as George was reminding us, they don't dare speak as if their opinion mattered more than anybody else's, as if they might be right and everyone else wrong. It's got to, the search for consensus is very deeply ingrained in us, and
I mean, that is part of what,
coloring.
that's part of what you're railing against.
What I'm really trying to do is give people the confidence to think that they might think, well, maybe I'm crazy, but does everyone honestly think this is all okay? Be aware that there's every possibility that you are right and the others are wrong.
Do you find yourself leaning toward libertarianism?
Very much so. I always had that gene in me, if you like.
Where did that gene come from?
Well,
did it come from your...
No, I have no idea. I have no idea. It's absolutely not in any of my family background. But yes, I had the feeling when I first read the idea that no one is really good enough to be another person's master. We may agree that someone has to be boss, but we're not really admitting that they're better. I remember thinking it was true. I remember also finding attractive the libertarian concept of the victimless crime, that there are areas where the state doesn't have any competence. It's no good at telling you a lot of things, who you can sleep with, what you can eat, drink, smoke, and so forth. And that
who you should marry.
Who you should marry, even how many times you should. Okay. That's beyond its competence. And once you've established that zone, you would also realize that it deserves to be limited in other zones too. If not excluded, it has to prove its case. It can't make the assumption it knows what's best for you.
Christopher Hitchens, The Art of Mentoring. The book is called Letters to a Young Contrarian. Thank you for coming.
Charlie, thanks for having me.
Great to have you.